Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
What is happening, everybody? It's Wednesday. That's right.
Let's go.
That means it's Winning on Wednesday. We are live from Austin, Texas, right here at Syndicate headquarters. Man, if you're ever in Austin, you need to come visit us. But my name's Tony Merwin. I'm the co-host of the show. The man of the hour, the Tower of Power is right here next to me. Mr. Joe Frazier Kampert. Frazier's a made-up bullshit name, by the way. But he is the king of Facebook groups and the king of trucking insurance and your host for Winning on Wednesday. What is happening?
I don't know if I'd say Joe Frazier's name's a bullshit made up name, but it's not my real name.
That's what I'm talking about.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Winning on Wednesday. Good to see y'all. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week. Real quick, if you haven't already, if you're watching within the Insurance Syndicate, make sure and click the link in the description to let StreamYard view your comments, just to make sure we can get you up on the show. We can celebrate you. And while we kick that off, talk about celebration, go ahead and drop your weekly wins below. We want to be able to celebrate y'all. I don't care how big, how small. Please drop those in the comments because we want to celebrate you guys. Joe just looks happy as hell. Hey, we're going to actually talk about that a little bit today, Brian. We've got an amazing show for y'all. Before we get into that, quick shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions, our sponsor for Winning on Wednesday. Shout out to Rob Lopez. Shout out to Lily, who's behind the scenes, who is our producer of all of our shows and podcasts. Really appreciate y'all. And again, guys, if you are in the market for finding a teammate, a virtual assistant, you need to reach out to Viva. They are amazing. I personally use them, and I know a multitude of other agencies and businesses that use them as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Mr. Merwin,
what is up?
What's your weekly win?
Man, I have so many. And I don't mean
you're
to,
on a hot,
you're on a hot
streak for like 2-3 weeks in a row.
But
I love it.
I'm not going to talk about the fitness and the goals that I'm achieving there. We'll save that for a little later, and I've already talked about that before. But let's talk about something a little more closer to the business. Facebook ads are killing it for us right now. Like we're doing really, really well in that space, and we're expanding it. So we got some more money to play with. We want to make a bigger dent in our Facebook presence. So Friday we launched a 20-piece branded ad campaign. So 20 different assets going out to about a 2 million person audience all across Facebook for all of our target audience. And this is just a brand awareness campaign. This is basically 20 different assets that are going to go out, show off the brand. We've got a variety of them, from informative educational carousel ads to meme ads to just instant still image ads. And we've got some video ads, all just mainly designed to get the brand out there in front of people quickly in rapid form, so that when our conversion ads come through, they should convert higher. So we'll see how that measures out. The CPMs on the branded ads are going off like gangbusters. And this is a weird metric. Like I'm not 100% sure like how to really judge that metric. I've done quite a bit of research on your CPM, which is your cost per reach for every 1,000 people, basically, that you're reaching. And I've seen weird numbers. I've seen a number that says, hey, the average CPM is $7.19 across all industries. It's like, okay. And then somebody said financial service industries tends to run higher. Like, okay. And then I've heard other people say, well, if you can beat $3 on your CPM, you're doing good. I'm like, okay. And so I look at mine and we're running at $1.56. So we're reaching tens of thousands of people on the daily basis. Super happy about those. And we have a whole new set of conversion ads that are going to go out as well pretty soon. So really excited for what that's going to bring for us in business.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Shout out to Brian Moore getting his CE done. I love that. Mine's coming up in June, so thank you for reminding me of that. Shout out to you. And shout out to Erin Lovett. I saw that comment in there. Dropping her book tomorrow. Shout out to Erin. That's an awesome win. I swear we should write a book or something, man.
We should. What do we write a book on?
We could write like a
how
whole
to run
series.
a low value podcast.
how to push buttons on a roadcaster. Oh man. Tony's been having fun with the buttons.
I'm learning.
But shout out to y'all. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. My weekly win, man. Man, it was a really surreal moment. Shout out to Austin Martinez. I guess this has been my hot streak too for the past 3-4 weeks. It's just been shouting out my guys and my team. But we went out and did a site visit. I'm not going to say the name of the company because we probably have some freaking dogs out there that would try and go and BOR it or something. But we went out and did a site visit on an account that we've been working on for, literally over a year now. 96,000 square foot semiconductor, warehouse, manufacturer. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen going out to this place.
Huge.
Just the building alone is insured for up to, I think it was like $62 million, not including any of the equipment. So again, if that gives you a frame of reference of like what this place was, and we went out there, and don't get me wrong, I've done some site visits, and there's some, honestly, to be pretty frank, there's some shitty businesses out there, man. And I went to this place and oh my gosh, A++. I took my nice camera out there. We did a self-inspection. Just compliant and safe. And like, it was just a beautiful risk to be an insurance agent. I know that's super nerdy. But it was freaking cool. Like to the point of where there's like one room in there, guys, that only 4 people are allowed access to. It's got facial recognition, key card access, 360-degree camera, because it's like monitored by the feds because of the solution and everything that they're creating. That actually technically they're a subsidiary of Samsung. So it was really cool day, very surreal. That wow. Like I looked at Austin and I said, hey man, I hope you hear this in my voice. Like you insure that place, bro. Which is pretty freaking cool going out there and seeing it all. So that's my weekly win.
What was the premium on that build site?
Oh, 6 figures plus. Just on the builder's risk side of things.
Big dollars.
Yeah. So it's a very nice account. It's we've worked really hard. Well, Austin has worked really hard on it, and I've kind of just been there in the background. But dude, shout out to Austin. And that was a really cool experience yesterday.
Absolutely. What kind of things do you take pictures of when you go in there?
Dude, the building itself. Obviously, all of their again, because of the solution, right? I'm talking about, hey, they've got eye washing stations, they've got cleansing stations that if there's fire suppression, sprinklered system. All these things, OSHA, first aid kits, cameras, right? We love having cameras. It's on 24/7 security. They've got a guard hut and everything. And so really it's kind of funny. You just go in and I take as many pictures as I think maybe I should.
Yeah.
Typically more than what somebody else would, but because I'm going to have those on file for the underwriter, and it just makes us look that much better. So, yeah, it was kind of random, but it was funny. I was like, oh, yep, I see all of that. The first aid, hey, helmets, no helmets beyond this, or helmets beyond this point or whatever. I'm taking a picture of that. It's on all the doors, caution here. But yeah, it was a cool experience. So shout out to Austin on that, man. I know you've been working really hard on that, and that is about to come to fruition. So
kudos.
Man, y'all, well, when we're talking about that, honestly, in order to get in front of an account like that, right? And this applies to people in insurance, but really just in business in general, and really just in freaking life, right? Is the traits of a high performer, right? And again, these are not my notes. You guys have seen me post this on my personal profile, but I really wanted to break these down with y'all today, just because of the impact and the effect it had within my internal team, right? In that morning training. But ultimately, man, moving forward, just really kind of tapping into, okay, what are the 8 rare traits I see in every high performer? Again, they are not my personal notes. My pops actually sent them to me. And then I took them and then went with the team. And so again, can't remember the guy's name who did it. I would give you credit. I just want to say that it's not mine. So I'm not taking credit, but it was really good stuff. And I know for sure you guys will find some value. So as we're getting ready to kick off, please get a pen and paper, right? Or get your notes out on your phone. However you take notes, whatever it is, I would suggest writing it down, because the best way to get it up here, right? And every high performer that I know of, right, they take notes, right? They don't just sit there and listen, because a lot of the times it'll go in one ear and out the other. So get your pen and paper ready, take some notes, go through this with us. And I know that you're going to find some value in this.
You know what just out of curiosity, you know what the statistics are on that regards to note taking and memory?
I do not know the stats on that.
Well, studies show that if we just sit in a conference or we listen to information, we will retain maybe 4% of that information. If we take notes, we might retain 10%. It's still really low, which is nuts.
Right.
I think a big reason why is people probably take the notes and then they don't ever go back and reread them to re-get that information. But generally it says, hey, if you don't take any notes, you might retain 4%. If you take notes, you could retain as much as 10% by memory.
By memory. I like that. And then just make sure you go back. And we should do that one time too, man. I have so many notebooks from those conferences. That would be cool to go back through all those over the years.
Absolutely.
But anyways, man, Tony, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, man? I think you got a lot of number one. I know I do. And there's a reason it's number one in my opinion. So kind of break that down with us.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of things. Actually all of these I really like, especially number 5. Can't wait to get to that one. But number 1 is grit. Grit. What is grit? Grit is courage. Grit is resolve, right? Grit is make it happen. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what gets in front of you, whatever obstacles, you make it happen. That is grit, in my opinion. Your notes here say it's the ability to persist through obstacles, strength to bounce back from failure, and the tenacity to keep pushing no matter what the challenge. And this is definitely true. I can at least talk about it from the current perspective that I'm dealing with in regards to my 75-day challenge. Like getting through that takes some grit, man, because there are some days. Today was one of them too. Like Grace was like, yo,
time to go.
It's time to go. Like it's 5:30. Like get your lazy white ass out of bed. Let's go. And I'm super happy. Thank you, Grace, for being my accountability partner in this thing. But it takes grit to get up, and go and bang out that workout, hour and a half workout every morning. Your business is going to take grit too. Like if you're going to succeed in sales in general, and if you're going to succeed as an independent agent, like grit has to be huge because the amount of negativity that you have to drive through to get to your goals, well, it's why 92% of agents fail. It's a big part of it, right? It's a big part of why all businesses fail because they don't have the grit to do the work when the chips are down. John Wetmore actually made a post about this recently. He said, hey, it's easy to work hard when, and I may not be getting it exactly verbatim, but he said, basically, it's easy to work hard when everything's going great. But what are you doing when things get difficult, when things get problematic, when obstacles happen? Are you still putting in the effort or are you throwing in the towel?
Right.
Are you ringing the bell, as our friend Cody says, referencing the Navy SEAL Challenge, where they ring the bell and they can get out of SEAL training? Yeah, I don't know how. My question's always been, how do you teach someone grit, though?
I think it's experience. That's why I like the point number 2, the strength to bounce back from failure. I think you have to go through failure time and time again to really develop some freaking grit, man. Right? Anything worth having is not easy to get. Right. And I think, don't get me wrong. There's some people that, whatever you want to call it, blessed, privileged, whatever it may be, where, hey, yeah, it's easy coasting for them and they've been able to achieve a lot of success and never been in the valleys, right? They've always been up here, right? But I love the strength to bounce back from failure because I feel like, again, just in life in general, right, we have a really hard time bouncing back from those obstacles, from those failures, right, from those limiting beliefs, right, that maybe we believe about ourselves or what other people are saying about us, right? Are we able to bounce back from that failure? Or failure is in somebody else let me down, right? And going through that. I think, man, that ability to bounce back from failure, it taps into my favorite one, which is number 3, which you guys, Brian, you hinted at it earlier in the show. But you got to be able to bounce back from failure. And I think that to me is what really develops grit, in my opinion. And definitely in my personal experience, I know knowing your backstory, you've definitely been able to bounce back, and that has developed a lot of grit, right?
Yeah. And I was taught grit, or I learned grit, I should say, at a young age. And this is one thing, like, after I asked that question, like, how do you teach someone grit? And you said, I think it's just a learned behavior. I think the only way you can really teach it is to lead by example. So if a leader is leading and he's showing people that, hey, I've got the resolve, I've got the courage, I've got grit to go and push through for my goals. And then I think that's where people are starting to pick it up. Like, oh man, I got to be a whatever it takes kind of person. I got to have this kind of mentality. My leaders do it, I'm doing it.
Yep.
And I remember just kind of going back. I remember when I was doing door-to-door sales and I was building my team, I had bone spurs that got into both of my heels, but was mostly affecting my right foot. And I really couldn't properly stand on it or walk on it, truthfully. Like, it hurt.
This dude was knocking on some doors.
It hurt
y'all.
bad. I used to jog in the field to get around all the doors because we wanted to smother the territory. But I remember I had to get put into a walking cast. So my right foot has a walking cast. My left foot has kind of a dress shoe, running shoe on it. And I'm cruising through the field and I'm still jogging with a walking cast. And I remember the effect it had on my team when they saw, wow, Tony is still out there banging on doors. He's still setting the pace. He's still smothering his territory. He's still ringing the bell every day and making money. And he's got damn near half a foot on his right foot. Like, it's pretty much almost useless. And they busted their ass because they're like, we can't let this dude outwork us with only one good foot.
Right.
Like, that's bullshit.
It's good.
So I think ultimately you want to teach grit to your team. You got to lead by example by having grit and showing it.
It's good. That's good. You go ahead and take number 2, and I'll take 3 and 4 and let you have 5.
Yeah,
really
I
like
appreciate that because number 2 is one of my favorites. Number 2 is relentless resourcefulness. Relentless resourcefulness. You have to make the impossible possible. You have to find a way, and you have to always find a solution. And this kind of goes into grit, right? But it's part of it. Like, you have to have the grit. The grit is the mental fortitude and the physical stamina to push through, right? Resourcefulness is the mindset to be able to solve the problems that are getting in front of you, right? So that I know that, hey, whatever comes in my way, I have the ability to be resourceful to find a solution to the problem. This is a big one for me because I believe that people need to learn to be extremely resourceful to find their own answers. It's the best way that you learn them. Quit calling your upline to be spoon-fed the answers every time. Solving problems in insurance is an open book test every day. There's so much information online, on Google, in handbooks, in underwriting guides, in election code charts, and all these cheat systems. You can go find the answer. And the reason I say that is not because I'm trying to say, hey, don't rely on your upline for answers, and you shouldn't. Let's be honest. Like, you shouldn't always rely on your upline just to answer simple questions for you. That's really not what they're there for. They're there to help you grow truthfully. So what I mean is, if you take the time to learn the solution and you go through that exercise, whatever it is, you're going to retain it much better than if you just pick up the phone and you call your upline and go, hey, what's the right election code I'm supposed to use for yada, yada, yada? And they're like, oh, it's OEP, whatever. And then you're like, okay, cool. Well, next time that scenario comes up, you're less likely to remember it because you didn't go through the process of learning it and creating that neural pathway in your brain. So resourcefulness does take some grit for you to push through and find the answers as well. And I think it's extremely important for an independent agent to learn to be resourceful and find the answers to the questions that are out there. And I teach agents this in Medicare a lot because I'll find agents specifically in Medicare because it's so deep, it's so complex, it's got such a steep learning curve to it. I'm like, quit trying to memorize everything there is to know about Medicare. Like, you're wasting your time, right? Because number one, you're never going to remember that 271-page handbook. You don't need to because it's there in front of you every day. So when the problem comes in that you don't have the answer to, be resourceful, grab your guide, find the answer. You'll learn it pretty quick that way, and then you can solve the problem. One of the other points that I like to make here on resourcefulness is a lot of times our brain gets bogged down and we lose mental capacity when an obstacle hits us. And we're like, holy crap, here's this giant rock in front of my path and I don't know how to get around it. And our mental capacity gets pushed to the limit because we get caught up in the mindset of this is impossible. I'm never going to get over this. I'm never going to find a way around it. And our frustration gets us really zoomed in on the problem to a very granular level. If you take a moment to zoom out and see the whole thing, you might see that there's a really simple way just to walk around the rock and get back on the path, right? But you have to take a moment to zoom out of the problem so that you can free up the mental capacity that you need to be resourceful. And then you can easily find the answers and get your solution.
That's, my favorite part. Find a way. find a way, whatever you're going through right now, whatever you have happening in life or in business or in your agency or whatever it is, right? Any of those, find a way, right? I love that. And it's not just resourcefulness, practice it's relentless resourcefulness, right? You have to be relentless in that. It's I really love that one, man. But number 3, y'all, it's my favorite one. I hope you guys are writing these down. If you don't write anything else down, you better freaking write this one down because you need it. And it can be difficult, right? But it is my favorite one. Brian Moore, shout out to you, brother, because you were bringing it up. Man, Joe just looks so happy. I am, man. And number 3 is freaking optimism. Optimism. Write it down. Number 3 is optimism. It is mental toughness. It is electrifying energy that is infectious, right? Not just electrifying energy that like maybe pisses somebody off or annoys people. It's like infectious, right? So electrifying energy that is infectious, and it raises the energy of the room, right? Anybody that knows me, you guys 100% know those 3 things that's my stuff, right? That's my ish. I'm all about optimism. I am the glass half full. Hell, I'm the glass full guy, right? It's not even half low in my book, right? It's like I've always got a full glass. Grass is greener, baby. And that's something that I think I've been blessed and have always had. But it's also one of my, I would say, almost to a fault where I don't do well, or I shouldn't say I don't do well. It's hard for me to communicate with folks that are not optimistic, right? And being able to relatability, excuse me, being able to relate to that.
I have
where
witnessed that, firsthand.
My wife used to call me the happiness bully, guys. So again, I work on that, and I also want to point out too, these are traits, right?
Yes,
and I
traits.
truly believe everybody has each and every single one of these 8. Rare. They're not as rare as we think they are. I think they're considered rare because we don't practice them enough, right? Or we get away from them. But number 3 is optimism, y'all. Okay. Mental toughness, electrifying energy that is infectious. Okay. And then you raise the energy of the room when you walk in. Are you doing those 3 things, right? Do you do those things when you walk in with your employees, right? Or with your agents, or you're talking about upline debt? Are you doing that with your downlines, right? When you're walking into training, do you even talk to them? I just, there's so many ways we could go with optimism, but you have to be optimistic in anything that you're doing, regardless of the struggle, regardless of, again, that failure or that grit that's being built, right? We have to be optimistic in life and in our business. So.
Optimism manifests success in various forms, right? If you're optimistic about your future, if you're optimistic about the task at hand, you're more likely to achieve it than if you're like, oh, we're never going to get this shit done. Well, no kidding.
Right.
Because that's your mentality. My grandma, and this is an old cliche, old adage. You guys have heard this platitude before. My grandma used to say it all the time. Can't, never could do anything.
That's good.
Can't, never could do anything. And if you always think you can't, like, oh, we can't accomplish that. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't go there. Oh, we can't say that. Well, then you can't, because you're the one making that choice. But if you believe you can, then you can do it. You can do anything you want. I believed that in 75 days, I could crush my weight and get down to fighting weight to get onto my goal. I'm way ahead of my goal because I believe that I could do it.
Right.
Now, there are mornings where I wake up and I'm like, no, I can't do this. No, I can't.
And then he sees me. I'm sitting outside of his
Grace
window,
says,
like,
no, you can, and you're going to get your white ass out of bed and go do it. And I do. So, yeah, optimism manifests success.
Yes, I love that. Can't, never could do anything.
That's right.
Absolutely, man. All right, y'all. Number 4. Okay, number 4. So number 1 was grit. Number 2 is relentless resourcefulness. Number 3 is optimism. Number 4, I think one, if you're watching the show, you're doing it right now. It's why we're even going through it. It's why we do these things on a weekly basis. It's why we have 6 live shows running through the insurance syndicate a week, right? And this was one I think I kind of started to let slip a little bit. And I'll break it down for y'all, because when I say slip, and it might just be the standard I'm holding myself to, or just based off of when I was in full conference mode and event and just sponge mode, right? And then now it's like, hey, I got to bring it back and go to work. But it's number 4 is constant learning. Okay, constant learning. Get 1% better every day. Get 1% better every day. I think we try to tackle the mountain, right? And as long as we're getting 1% better every day, we get better. We improve by 365% a year, right? 1% better every single day. Okay. Seek feedback. Ooh, this one's a tough one, right? That feedback loop is it can be really positive, or man, sometimes it can be a little bit negative too, right? Like really seeking feedback to where you can improve. Because again, that's constant learning, right? I'm trying to see what I can learn and how I can improve. What's the point of learning if we're not going to do anything with it? Okay. So seek feedback, expand their skill set. Okay. So again, get 1% better every day. We're seeking feedback. We're expanding our skill set. Stay curious and hungry. And I think this was maybe for me. I think that was it. Right. Kind of lost a little bit of the curiosity as I kind of got out there into the world, right, and into our networks and our communities and this group of people. And not saying this in a prideful or egotistical way, but in that being known kind of space, right, where like, hey, I can walk into a room and I know people, I know the person running the event or the conference or whatever that might be, right. I think staying curious and hungry, right, like, hey, I will always learn something and that's one thing I've learned is that I will always learn something new if I'm like, hey, man, what was that event? Maybe I'll go ahead and go to that, right? And I think I kind of slowed up a little bit on that because we've been busy, but that's kind of that's what I'm saying is that it's constant learning, right? It's 1% better every single day, y'all. Okay. So stay curious and hungry. And then this one, man, and this is 8 rare traits I see in a high performer. They give you an infinite ROI, right?
Yeah, through constant learning.
They give you an infinite ROI because they're getting better every single freaking day, right? They're expanding their skill set. They're staying curious and hungry. They're okay to feedback is coachability, y'all. If you're not hearing that, they get 1% better every single day. Hell yeah, I'm getting a great ROI on that, especially if you're on my team, right? Or even for you as an individual, if you're running a one-woman, one-man shop, right? Are you an infinite ROI? What are you doing, right? And man, I love the constant learning piece because it's honestly what's changed my life and my business. Which is why I was like, hey, Joe, stop thinking you know it, right? Or you don't need to go to another conference or whatever, right? It's like, nope, I'm going, I'll be there, right? Because I can always learn something new every single day. So
it shouldn't be that difficult to learn constantly in today's hyper evolving world of information. Especially in what we do. We're in a sales industry. Sales is evolving at an amazingly rapid pace because of the internet, because of automations, because of artificial intelligence. It shouldn't be that difficult to learn something new to elevate your business. I'm not even just talking about sitting and learning and reading from books. There's other things that you can do. I'm teeing up an RSSA course to become a registered Social Security advisor here pretty soon. I just got to get it batched in my calendar, but it's on the agenda. That's a learning process that's going to help me elevate my career, right? I'm constantly sitting there following people and learning how to get better at Facebook ads, right? So I'm not necessarily always sitting there reading books, even though I do, and I listen to audiobooks. I'm constantly trying to feed my brain. But like, what are some of the little skills that you can get better at from a marketing standpoint, for example, to help you get more leads so you can grow more business? What are some of the things that you can learn to help you with sales skills to get better? Like some of those little things are not that difficult to spend a little bit every day. Like ask Joe, every morning when I come in, I spend about 10 to 30 minutes looking at news items and educational stuff, all nonfiction stuff based around my industry, right? Things that I want to make sure that I am on spot with my industry so that I can stay up to speed and stay a little bit ahead of the curve. Because it's also kind of my duty, or at least I've taken it on my duty, to inform some of you guys about these new things that are coming down the pipe. So it really shouldn't be that hard to exercise. Number 4, constant learning. If you're not, I'm just going to call it like it is. You're being lazy, period.
Yep. That or you think you know it all. And if you think you know it all, then you're in the wrong room.
Which brings us to number 5.
Yeah.
Number 5 is one of my favorites.
I wonder why.
Number 5 is don't be an asshole.
He just likes to cuss.
Don't be an asshole. Show empathy. Have high integrity. What does integrity mean? It doesn't just mean honesty. Integrity means stability, structure, right? If you think of a building, if you say, hey, that building has integrity, doesn't mean that the building's honest. It means the building was well built. It's structurally sound. Are you structurally sound in your business and what you do and how you operate? And certainly, are you honest and do you have ethics? Ethics are super important in the insurance business. I mean, we have to do a 2-hour ethics course every couple of years as part of our continuing education, just to make sure that we're not being an asshole. Collaborate well with others. Are you a good team player? or are you
That's
not a
big one.
good team player?
That's a big
And
one.
that's definitely can be challenging depending on maybe the team that you're on, how you fit in. You might be a great team player and you're just on the wrong team as well. And then ultimately treat others with respect, which goes back to the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. And then I'm not sure exactly what this little pyramid drawing Joe has going on down here, but I'm going to talk a little bit about not being an asshole from this mindset. And I was actually thinking about this just the other day. And what kind of got me on this train of thought, and I can't remember exactly where it came from, but I know where it pushed me to was my time that I spent working with Precision Senior Marketing. Somebody was asking me for a reference, I think, for them or something to that effect. And their entire philosophy, and this is why I worked with those guys in my Medicare career for, well, technically still my contracts are with PSM, even though I'm independent and broke away. I've worked with those guys for 19, almost 20 years. And for one specific reason only, they ran their business by a philosophy, very simple: do the right thing.
Yeah.
Do the right thing, whatever that right thing is. And none of mean it's the right for you. It's right for the recipient. It's right for, and then in their case, because we're a wholesale agency and recruiter, what is the right thing for the agent? And no matter what it was, we always made sure that we did the right thing. And so, and when I was thinking about that, I was like, how does that relate to you as an agent? Maybe. How do I understand what am I doing the right thing? Think about it this way. When something pops up in your business, maybe something with one of your clients, and you have to come up with a solution to solve for them, doesn't necessarily mean that's right for you, right? It might take money out of your pocket immediately for that to solve this problem, for example. But number one, is it right for the client? Is it going to benefit and be the right thing for the client? Number two, is it the right thing for the insurance company that you're representing?
Yep. Preach.
Number three, is it right for the industry? Is it going to give the industry a better name, or is it going to make the industry look bad again? Because remember, the reflection that our industry has ultimately creates effect on you. If everybody thinks that the insurance industry is full of scumbags, then, well, when you talk to customers, they're just going to think you're a scumbag. So again, is it right for the client? Is it good for the client? Is it good for the company that you represent, the insurance company? And is it good for the industry? And then in some cases, if you work for an agency, is it good for your agency? Like, is it good for their brand? Is it good for their image? If all those things are yes, then you should be unselfish to not go, well, it's not good for me. I'm getting the short end of this stick. I lose a client or I lose a customer. No, it doesn't matter. You'll get that money back tenfold later. Is it right for the client? Is it right for the company? Is it right for the industry? If all three of those questions are answered yes, or probably at least one of them,
right,
do it. Take care of the problem and do the right thing. Don't be an asshole.
Yep. It's good, man. It's good. All right, guys, recap real quick. Number 1, grit. Number 2, relentless resourcefulness. Number 3 is optimism. 4 is constant learning. 5, not being an asshole, right? And somebody put on there, not being an asshole has gotten me really far in life. Absolutely. You'd be amazed. It'll do wonders, guys.
Not being an asshole leads right into number 6.
Right. Which is, I mean, this is why I like this is why I like number 3, and this is why I like number 6 too. So number 6, y'all, fun to be around.
Hard to do that when you're an asshole.
Yeah. Preach. Are you fun to be around, right? Number 6 is fun to be around. Positive energy. You can feel the energy from me in this room through this freaking camera right now, y'all. Like I am just positive energy through the freaking roof, right? A sense of humor. You got to have a sense of humor, right? We got to be able to shake some things off. We got to be able to laugh some things off. And also, I mean, you got to have a sense of humor in order to be fun to be around, right? So have a sense of humor, and then just a lightness in the office.
Yes.
Okay. A lightness in the office. And I just think, those are very simple things. And that's, again, we're talking about traits here, y'all. And when you break some of these things down, well, that's not hard to do. Yet it's considered one of the 8 rare traits that is, it's rare. And it's like, all I have to do is have positive energy and laugh about some things and kind of have this lightness about me in the office, right? It's like, yeah, it is pretty freaking easy. And then you're like, turns out, and again, being fun to be around. I know it's the word fun, but it is a very powerful recruiting tool as well, if you're in that space. Nobody wants to be recruited or be on the team of an asshole. But man, if you're fun and you got a bunch of positive energy, right? And you're doing things the right way with integrity, right? You collaborate and you do all these other things that we've already kind of covered, right? Fun to be around freaking trumps. It really does, right? And that's, I not saying this in a prideful way, but I think that's why I've done pretty well in that space is because, man, he's a good dude. He's optimistic as shit, almost pisses me off sometimes, right? But he's really fun.
Yeah.
He's really fun to be around. And anybody that's ever been around me, like, I'm pretty damn fun to be around. And that's
Sometimes too fun.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. It depends on the day or the night, I guess. I don't know. But you got to be fun to be around, y'all. Fun to be around is number 6.
Yeah. To Joe's point on that, I mean, if you're going to an event, for example, and you're not an enjoyable person, that doesn't mean you have to be the center of attention, the bombastic personality, but are you enjoyable for people to hang out with and be in the same space, sharing the same oxygen with them? If you're not, it's going to be hard to network with people. It's going to be hard to build relationships with people. It's going to be hard to find referrals, clients, et cetera, everything that you need. We know that insurance is a relationship business. It's built on the quality of your relationships and having good energy, right, that people are attracted to makes it a lot easier for you.
Right.
And that may be something that's practiced, but I'll give you one little piece here. Life is hard enough already.
Preach.
To not sit around moping about it and taking it too seriously. Like, stop. Let's think about this for a second. Let's just put a little perspective on it for some of the people out there that think they are king shit and they take themselves way too seriously. Zoom out for a second. You think you're number one in America? Zoom out. You're just some dude on a planet floating in infinite nothingness that keeps expanding everywhere. Like, you're just a speck of dust, bro. Relax a bit. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Have some fun and enjoy what you're doing in life. Enjoy this great experiment that we're all a part of.
This opportunity. I think, and the one last bit on that, and I'll let you cover 7.
I know exactly where you're going.
Well, no. You got, I'm saying on 6, the word but in front of energy is positive energy. There's a lot of negative. You're talking about the world and right. And what, like, dude, there's a lot of negative energy around us, right? In this freaking world, really just in general. I mean, there's a lot of negative Nancy's out there, right? So
yeah,
to be fun, bring that positive energy and that sense of humor, right? And when you're walking in the office. And so I've seen some of y'all's comments. So I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and take us to number 7, Tony. You got
number
this one.
7. Number 7 is a big one. You hear people talk about it all the time, and that is a growth mindset. Growth mindset, right? Are you embracing challenges as growth opportunities, or are you looking at it at negatives? Like, oh God, I got to go work out again. This sucks. I got to go to work again. I got to go call people again.
I have to pick up the phone.
CMS is making new rules that make my job harder. Safeco is pulling out of Florida. Insurance business sucks. Why am I doing this? It's all going away. The end is near. No. Or you have a growth mindset. Every time there's a challenge, that creates opportunity, right? Because you should know that when challenge happens, some agents are going to tuck tail and run.
Right.
And some agents are going to go, this is a great opportunity for me to take advantage of this challenge and grow. This is a growth opportunity. We're seeing this big time in the Medicare space right now. There are a lot of challenges happening that are pushing some agents out of the Medicare space, right? And other agents are like, holy crap, this is a huge opportunity. I have to learn to take advantage of it, because if I can learn to take advantage of these challenges and get on the right side of them, I'm going to have a huge growth. I'm going to be the one taking advantage of this. So something that I read a long time ago is that every big challenge creates a groundswell of opportunity, and you have to look at it that way, right? So you believe that possibilities and intelligence can be developed, and you are obsessed with the process of growth.
Obsessed. Got to be obsessed. I freaking love that. Obsessed with the process. What's
Brian saying here? What's easier than talking on the phone and making good coin doing it? No shit. I am with you on that, man. If you love what you do, it makes it easy to do it. But you do, it ultimately is have a growth mindset. I mean, if you want to improve in anything, you're going to have to think about growth. I mean, we don't even have to just talk about insurance. Like, we can go back to my mindset with what I'm trying to do to reach my goal of fighting in a Sanda competition at age 50, which is, pardon me, it's fucking nuts. But we're going to do it anyway. So we have this mindset that, hey, we're going to grow, right, to get to this space that I want to achieve. Same thing with Avila. Like, this growth mindset carries over to every aspect of your life. if you have things that you want to do, if you want to improve as a human being, if you want to improve as a business person, whatever it is, you got to have a mindset of growth.
Yep. Can't be a flash in the pan either.
Negative.
I think you almost want to, like, from number 4 is constant learning. You almost want to put constant growth mindset, because I think a lot of people, again, you'll have that hype or that energy from that conference or that event or that person you met or that book you read or whatever, and then that growth mindset tends to subside. Right?
Mhm.
Is that, hey, you got to be not only obsessed with the process, but you also have to understand, especially in the insurance side of things, it don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long process for you and you got to be obsessed with it, right? And we got to be constantly, working on our mindset and embracing, again, all those challenges that, I mean, even in our space now on the property and casualties, y'all, like, this ain't going to be the only challenge. This hard market and the rates and carriers and all this stuff, like, it's just one of the challenges that is in the pipeline, right? There's more to come, right?
Absolutely.
So always got to stay focused on the growth mindset. And then
it's never going to be all roses. Hang on, I got one more point before you jump in the last one.
Okay.
This whole topic, this growth mindset, was my buddy Justin Brock recently posted about it in the Medicare Monsters group, and he said that, hey, it seems to me that some of the most successful people in the world ever have learned to gamify their business or gamify their growth, and I'm summarizing here, and then they became addicted to that game, right? So we're talking about being obsessed with the process. Is there a way that you can look at it to gamify it? Whether it's gamifying the metrics, like I'm trying to look at that on my metrics with my Facebook advertising. Like I have all these metrics that I'm trying to chase in my business, and so for me, it's kind of gamifying it.
The next boss.
I gamified the my run to try to get down to 175 pounds on my 75-day challenge. I'm like, cool, if I can achieve this goal, then my reward, right? If I win the game, if I beat the final boss, I get to go to Cabo San Lucas and hang out for 3 days in the sun and sand with my phone turned off. Like, that's big. Granted, I had to buy those tickets before I actually finished the game, but I know I'm going to win, and it put that extra carrot in front of me. But maybe learn to gamify some of your processes,
like
some
that.
of your growth things, and certainly might very well help you out and help you become obsessed with that process.
I love that. That's good, man. All right, y'all. Quick recap one more time. Grit is number 1. Relentless resourcefulness. Optimism. Constant learning. Not being an asshole. Fun to be around. We're focusing on that growth mindset, and we're wrapping up here with number 8. And then there's actually the person who came up with these notes. They actually have the red flag. So we're going to actually give you some things to look out for, whether it's, self reflection, or it's, hey, I'm trying to grow a team, or I'm whatever it might be, right? We're going to go through some of those red flags and just basically they're signs of a B player, right? Not to say anything about a B. I was on the B team, okay? So B team ballers, but you guys get my point. But number 8, okay? Number 8 is enjoys responsibility. Okay, let me say that again. Enjoys responsibility. They take ownership of their work. Do you take ownership of your work, right? And that's the next point, is because they care about doing a good job. So if you're not taking ownership of your work, are you doing a good job? Do you care about doing a good job, but for yourself, for your agents, for your clients, whatever that might look like, okay? So take ownership of their work. They care about doing a good job. And this is the big one. And again, you guys know this about me, and it's something about that I love about Tony. And really a lot of the people that I surround myself with have this trait, is they go above and beyond to help others. There's a lot of things that I do for others, right? Whether that's in the insurance side of things or really just in general, that has nothing to do with a dollar sign. I think when people try to go above and beyond to help others, they try to associate a dollar sign to it, right? Which ultimately then, are you really going above and beyond to help them, right? It's like, or are you just trying to make a buck off them? And I think there's a difference there. And don't get me wrong, if there's certain things that you're doing, like, hey, should you be compensated for it? For sure. But like for me, when I view like I'm going above and beyond for somebody, it's not to make a dollar off them, right? It's because I'm trying to help them. It's because I care about them. It's because I'm taking ownership of my work, and I do care about doing a good job, and taking care of others as well. And again, I think that's something that can be difficult. Especially because when life is like what you were saying, it's not all, sunshine and flowers, right? We can have our ups and downs, and it's like, and sometimes you can try your hardest to do a good job, and yet you still can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy. And really what it means is that, hey, they weren't the right person for you. right? We were kind of talking about that in our training. We have been kind of reiterating that, hey, man, if they tell you to F off or they don't like it, then they just weren't the right one.
So then your customer. Don't worry about it.
You're that much closer to the yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
Because you're never going to get everybody. It's impossible. I don't care how good you are at sales and how good your leads are, et cetera. You're never getting 100% of the marketplace. So embrace that fact and learn to go find your piece of the marketplace that does exist out there. And don't worry about the other ones, but not to derail. But my favorite part of this whole enjoys responsibility is your first bullet point there, that takes ownership of their work. Mm-hmm. Do you have pride in the work you do? If you're an independent agent running your own business, then that's probably a little easier for you because you are the owner, right? So it's easy to take ownership in what you do because you're the only one. Everything relies on you. If you're a member of an agency, maybe you're an LOA agent or a captive agent or a career agent or an employed agent, I think sometimes those guys can fail to take ownership because they're like, well, I'm not the owner. I'm just a guy here writing business. But no, the results depend on you, right? The business isn't going to close itself. Your opportunity isn't going to create itself. You have to go create it. So regardless, you still have the same opportunity to generate business, build a distribution, stack up cash, and build a great customer base, regardless of where you are in the spectrum of agents. So take ownership, man. Understand that the results are a reflection of you, right? The results are a reflection of you. If you're not putting in the effort, you're going to get no results. If you put in the effort, if you take ownership in your work and you put forth the right work based on a lot of these other 8 character traits, the results are going to be a reflection of you, and you will be rewarded justly for that. But I think it's super important. And we actually talked about some of this with our team here when we talked about kind of taking ownership of all the extra little details that exist in the office outside of just production. Mm-hmm. Like dumb little things like taking out the trash, replacing the toilet paper, like understanding that when you see stuff that needs to be done, pardon me, I was going to say when you see shit that needs to be done,
you better clean it up. Oh, what the heck?
When you see shit that needs to be done, just do it, right? Take ownership in the fact that, hey, I'm one of the people that exist in this building that is perpetuating this entire opportunity forward, right? And take ownership in your spot. And I think where people go wrong, if your people don't take ownership in what they do, it's probably because they're not bought into your vision. And they don't maybe understand what the vision is, and they don't understand their place in that vision and how it propels forward. So if you have people in your crew that aren't taking ownership of their work, I guarantee you they're not bought into your vision, and they don't believe in it. And they probably think you're full of shit.
And they may have lack of vision.
You're an asshole.
And they may have lack of vision as
well.
And
they might have lack of vision too.
Right. That's good, man. That's good. All right, y'all. We're about to wrap up here. I want to go through the red flags. If you guys have found some value in this, go ahead and do it.
The red flags.
He likes some buttons. If you found some value in the show, go ahead and drop that in the comments. If you're tuning in from my personal profile, drop me some stars, comment some value. If you like our backdrop and our setup and our lighting, I think we finally got our lighting for the most part down. Go ahead, drop value, the word value in the comments. We want to see that, and we appreciate y'all tuning in and staying with us. You know what I love is the people that stay through to the end, right?
Yes.
Y'all are the ones that are ultimately going to get better. So here's some red flags. I'll go through half of them and I'll turn it over to you, Tony. But these are signs of a B player. Okay, so some red flags to be looking out for, to be aware of, is they exaggerate their experience. They speak poorly of past bosses. Ooh,
but that guy was an asshole.
Cannot explain job moves. Okay, cannot explain why they've been moving around to 5 different uplines. Self-absorbed.
Well, it's obviously the uplines suck.
Self-absorbed. Okay. Winners don't blame. Okay. And this is I'll wrap up on this one, is making excuses. How many people do we know, gosh, that they just sit there and make an excuse after an excuse after an excuse? And it's like, my Lord, man, that's why you'll never be on the freaking starting lineup. It's because they just make excuses about everything, right? So be on the lookout for those 3 things, and I'll let Tony wrap it up.
I hate excuses, but I'm about to blame the asshole that wrote this so small because I can't read it. All right, next one is they're more interested in compensation and benefits than the work.
Ooh.
Unreliable. That's an easy one. right? If someone's unreliable, that's a huge red flag. Can't show up on time, don't do what they say they're going to do. Perry Lunsford says this best. He says, if you can do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, and you can do it with a smile, you'll be ahead of everybody in this game very quickly.
Yep.
So yeah, red flag is unreliable people. Not mission driven. I kind of disagree with this a little bit. Not that I wouldn't say that it's not a red flag, but I think some people just haven't learned how to be mission driven. So I think that's something that could be a trait that can be learned and taught. You have to teach them what the mission is and get them behind it. But if they're not driven, right? If they don't have a desire to grow and succeed, that can be a red flag for this business.
Yep.
Because we know that sales requires someone that wants to do the work, someone that wants to grow, someone that is challenged, someone that's driven by challenge.
That growth mindset.
Right.
Yep.
Growth mindset. Next one is they have no experience building teams. Again, I don't know that I would call that a red flag so much. It would be a red flag if you're hiring for the team building position. Then yeah, that's a huge red flag. They have no experience building a team, but not just a red flag in general. But and because again, I think that can be a learned trait and something you can definitely teach people. I didn't come into the game learning how to build teams or knowing how to build teams. I had to learn how to do it.
Right.
And it took. I built teams, lost teams, built teams, lost teams until I finally built a good team.
Goes back to grit.
This is a big one. Office politics, man. People that get caught up in the office politics, or they create politics in the office. Well, I don't like him because he did this, or well, they believe that, or they look like this, or well, the boss always gives them the good leads because they wear red on Thursdays, or whatever bullshit excuse you want to come up with. Don't play the office politics. Don't get caught up in the water cooler garbage, which goes to the next one, gossips. Like people that sit and gossip about other people. Oh, did you hear what Johnny did? Oh my goodness. Like that's a red flag, right? As soon as you talk to someone that's like that, start to remove yourself. And then the last one is a big one for me, complaints. And I have a very low tolerance for complainers. And it's because I believe in 1 and 2 really, well, actually 1, 2, and 3. I believe that everybody should have grit. I believe that it takes relentless resourcefulness in order to solve the problems that you're complaining about. And I believe in optimism that helps you manifest success, not destruction. So yeah, don't be a complainer, man. Nobody wants to hang around people that complain all the time. I've removed people from my circle because all they do is sit around complaining. I don't want to hear that crap. I got things to do. I have grit. I have relentless resourcefulness, and I'm optimistic, and I'm trying to constantly learn with the growth mindset. I'm not interested. Those people are unfun to be around, right? Nobody likes to hang around complainers. So if you got someone in your group that's complaining all the time, or somebody that when you interview them, right, or you're talking to them about the opportunity and you hear them making complaints, like,
yeah, I'm done. Right. Complainers and excuses.
Get them out, because all they're going to do is keep moaning.
Right. All right, y'all. That's the 8 rare traits seen in every high performer. Again, they're not as rare as you think, right? And you may be really strong in some of those categories, right? And you may be weak in some of those categories, and it's okay because you can build these traits up. I truly believe that each and every single one of us has these traits inside of us. Just are we exercising them? Are we using them, right?
Let's ask a tough question.
Okay.
Which one of these do you suck at?
Ooh. So actually, well, this one's easy for me because I already did this.
And I shouldn't say suck. I mean, which one,
yeah,
I'm being superlative, but which one do you need work on?
The constant learning, where I was slipping, where it was, as much podcast and content and anything that I could get, like I was full freaking sponge mode, man, to level up. And I think I found myself, not to say that I stopped, right? I'm obviously super into the Andy Elliott stuff. I just signed up with Apex with Ryan Stewman. Shout out to Ryan Stewman. He's actually in the group now, man. I hope you're enjoying the group since you joined last week. So that kind of prompted me. The whole Apex thing is what kind of like, hey, dude, I need to be back into this mindset of constantly learning. I think I was letting it slip. I think I was getting busy, right? Or whatever is happening in life, right? Ultimately, I was probably internally making an excuse as to why I didn't have time to learn, right? To ingest something that is going to help me get better on a daily basis. Okay. I was doing it, a couple times a week, whatever. I rewatch some podcast, whatever that might be, but am I doing it? Am I getting 1% better every single day? And so that was one that I told the team. I said, hey, man, this is the one I'm working on right now, that I'm back at it, man. Like I'm just all up in these sales courses, right? These mindset courses. joining, late night Zoom calls and stuff like that. They're business Zoom calls, not those kind of late night calls. But that's constant learning is the one I've been working on.
Syndicate after hours, everybody.
Right. We're gonna have the voice changer on too. Yeah. What's for you? What you working on?
I would say probably the one that I've struggled with the most in the last few years has been growth mindset.
Okay.
Which might shock some people. But I would say there was definitely a period, at least a couple of years ago, that I got really, really comfortable in where I was in insurance. I was doing really well, making a grip of cash. Ends were meeting like no problem at all. And I'm like, hey, this is great. I'm good. Like nothing else that I need to worry about here. Just keep doing my thing, keep building my team, keep distributing products, keep building relationships. It's great. But I wasn't pushing myself to be a better version of myself. I was just being me and being very good at it. And then meeting some new people in the industry, actually seeing what some of the younger generation was doing in the industry blew my mind. And it reminded me how much more opportunity there truly is in insurance.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I need to embrace some of these new challenges, become and start, develop that growth mindset to get out there and build something even bigger.
Yep.
And then Grace came along and made me do it anyway. So,
and here we are. Here we are. Well, man, this has been an awesome show. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I hope y'all found some value. If you did find some value, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Continue to share your weekly wins, even if you're catching this on the replay. We would love to be able to support you and celebrate you in that. Again, I don't care if it's a renter's policy or a 92 or 96,000 square foot warehouse. Put it in the comments. We want to celebrate with y'all. And with that being said, Mr. Merwin, go ahead and take us out.
Adios. Thank you all for tuning in, man. It's always fun. We always do it live, and it's always on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. right here in the group. If you missed the show, you can always find it in the Facebook group. All these videos live in the Facebook group. Just go to, I think it's under Media tab now, find videos, or even easier, we have a YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. It's the Insurance Syndicate. You can find all these playlists, Monday Mindset, Tuesday Training, Winning on Wednesday, Friday Fuel. They're all right there in the group, and you can enjoy them over and over again. If there's something you would like us to talk about, something you would like us to discuss, some guest you would like us to have, let us know. Because we don't know if you don't say anything. That's communication, so let us know. And other than that, have an awesome week. It's the peak of the week. Doesn't mean you shut it down. Put it in overdrive. Let's finish this week strong, and we will see you next week.
And you know what? You know what your grandma said. Got to end it with this.
Can't, never, could do anything.
Can't, never, could do anything. Y'all have an amazing week. We appreciate you guys. See ya.